Svaneti is a very unique and special place. It is located in the main ridge of the Caucasus, which means that it is surrounded by the highest peaks of Georgia. But not only Ushba and Shkara make this place unforgettable. The special thing about Svaneti is that it was between the 3rd and 20th century isolated by the rest of Georgia. Only very few people could cross those mountains, especially in winter, go to or from Svaneti. And this is why there is a special culture in Svaneti that could flourish and evolve without any influence from outside. This region was kind of autonomous from the rest of Georgia and therefore could develop very early their own democracy. The faces of the villages here are shaped by the big defense towers that you can see nowhere else in Georgia. One part of those old families that have always lived in Svaneti is Larry Nigoriani. He is one of the very few Georgian mountain guides and he owns a guide office in Mestia, which is one of the biggest villages in Svaneti. He offers there ski touring and freeride adventures. We highly recommend to join Larry on his ski tours and freeride trips to benefit from his enormous knowledge and experience in those mountains. The freeriding in Svaneti is more than excellent. From Mestia you have by foot access to Hatsvali, a ski resort that starts at an elevation of 1,400 meters of altitude and brings you up to 2,300 meters. Here you can expect mostly tree runs and broad and lonely slopes. If the visibility is bad, Hatsvali is always a good choice for some riding. Tetnuldi is located much higher than Hatsvali and you need about 40 minutes by car from Mestia. And it is definitely worth that ride.
Let's go! Have fun, boys and girls! Woo!
From 2,200 meters of altitude, the chairlift starts. The highest point you can reach from the resort is located on 3,100 meters of altitude. So you can imagine that you will find mostly alpine terrain here, like couloirs and wide and open faces. Furthermore, as Hatsvali, here are so little people that you will find a lot of voice tracks and unwritten powder even though you stood up late. The most impressive and alpine lines you can reach from the resort is when you go up as high as possible with the chairlift. From here you can traverse by foot on the ridge and choose one of the many steep and gorgeous couloirs there. They are around 200 to 300 vertical meters long. When you reach the valley down there, you traverse to the left until you come to open fields that bring you back to the chairlift. All in all, you ride down around 1,000 vertical meters. One of the most joyful and obvious faces are the southwest-facing open slopes underneath the small chairlift. Start from the end of the second chairlift and cross it underneath to the right. Traverse as long as you want the field and choose one of those endless and fairly steep lines. You can ride down 700 vertical meters without any interruption until you reach the chairlift again. Are the great tree runs underneath the chairlift you take when you ride down the open fields. The trees have the perfect distance between each other with a lot of pillows and jumps. You can ride here even if the visibility is bad, and you can do that multiple times as it is such a huge area that the tracks do not cross each other. There is also a possibility to ride from the resort down through a huge forest until you reach a village. It takes a long time as you ride down around 700 vertical meters and you need a good orientation and a person that picks you up where you are coming down. Another run run that is around 1,100 vertical meters brings you down to the small, beautiful village Ushguli. To reach it, you take the chairlift that brings you up as high as possible and traverse direction east until you reach a small ridge. From here, you can ride down south-facing slopes with a perfect view in Ushba until you reach the village. Here is a guy that sells something to drink and eat, and he can also call you a transport back to Mestia. Making ski tours in this great region offers endless possibilities and diverse terrain. From alpine lines to tree runs, you will find everything. As you are in the main region of Caucasus, you have access to a lot of very high mountains like Shkara and Ushba. But a lot of peaks here are rocky with glaciers and very steep. This means that you need a lot of experience to climb those mountains. But there is of course also easier terrain. For example, there is a small and very old village and also the highest in Europe, which name is Ushguli. From here you have access to multiple different ski touring options where you can vary in difficulty and steepness. To reach Ushguli you need to be prepared for a long and rocky road with a 4x4 jeep, as it is most of the times in Svaneti when you want to reach the mountains. But it is definitely worth it. We experience Svaneti as a very cultural place, with a lot of friendly people and a community of freerider and mountain sportsmen. But it is way more lonely and a less touristic place than Gudori. As we also visited Racha, which is a very remote area of Georgia, we think that Svaneti is the perfect compromise between lonely ski touring and visiting wild places, but also having some infrastructure and enjoying culture. To sum it up, it is simply the perfect place for guys who want to do ski touring and freeriding, located in the most impressive and highest mountains of Georgia. If you are now also fascinated and curious to experience Svaneti, contact us on social media or visit our website.